my goodness. That wasn't good. That wasn't planned at all. I did not think we would hit ice that bad. Anyways, today's agenda. We're gonna do the oil change on this car. I'm gonna tell you the 10 things I hate about it. And then we're gonna have some more fun in the snow and hopefully don't do what we just did. So most likely the first thing I hate about this car most is the Bang & Olufsen system. When it gets cold, the speakers usually rattle. And I don't know if that's just the Bang & Olufsen system itself or if it's all Audis in general, because my other A6 did the exact same thing. But only when it's cold it rattles, so I think that's probably the first thing. The second thing would probably be how expensive it is to do simple maintenance on this car. It usually tends to be just the German cars in general, but if you want to do an oil change or even change your brakes, it's going to cost you a lot more than if you're going to do it on a Civic, and it's basically the exact same process. Like for my brakes, I was quoted $450 to $500 to do them, and that was not even including tools. So I mean, just simple things like that, if you can do them yourself, that's not an issue. Like I did my brake myself and I'm doing my oil change myself, but it's just expensive to do simple maintenance parts on this car, and that's probably one of the big issues I have with this car, owning it. But that'd probably be my second thing. And honestly, to add with that second thing, it really isn't that big of a deal, because as long as you have your own tools and YouTube, you can do a lot of simple maintenance stuff on this car yourself with no issue. It's just, if you don't have the time to do it, it sucks to have to pay an extra $100 to $300 on something that only gonna take you about an hour to 2 hours your first time, and then after that it's a piece of cake. My third thing would have to be engine mounts. You guys know that I already changed mine up to the 034 motor mounts, but this car before had really bad motor mounts from stock, and the stock motor mounts go out really easy, and if you're pushing anything more than the stock ECU, so if you have a tuned ECU or you're dual pulley, it's not going to take those engine mounts a long time before they give out. So that's one thing I didn't like about this car, was that the engine mounts gave out really quick and I had to replace them. But in reality, the new engine mounts are a lot better and I like them. Alright, so you got the skid plate off. Now it's time to drain the oil. The only thing you need to get the skid plate off is just some Torx bits, and it's pretty easy to take it off. And also, usually that drain plug is usually a Torx, but I have an ECS tuning plug which changes out the Torx, which makes it a little bit easier too, because you can pull out that really quick before the oil starts draining. Usually it's a 6mm Allen key or a T40, T45 Torx, but in my case it's just a wrench. Alright, I'm gonna find a towel. Okay, so the fourth thing would have to be rock chips. This car is a magnet for rock chips. I don't know if it's the way the car is designed or if the car is just a little bit fast and you just want people to get out of the way so you ride their ass. But anyways, that's probably another thing, is that I find myself getting a lot of rock chips with this car. If you guys get PPF or anything like that, you should be fine. I don't have PPF because the previous owner never had PPF on it, and I want to do a full PPF and everything this summer and paint correction. So rock chips definitely be the number 4 thing I hate about this car. But I mean, you can't really avoid it, and honestly it's probably not just this car. All right, number 5. I know it kind of seems like I'm just nitpicking because there isn't really a lot to hate about this car, which is why I have it. Anyways, number 5 would be the stock brakes. The stock brakes are a death trap. You wear through them really quick, and if you use them a lot, they tend to warp. So yeah, if you have the stock brakes, I suggest changing those out right away. I have not even like a big brake kit. I just have the ECS tuning, slotted rotors, and then upgraded brake pads, and I seem to do really fine. But if you are running the stock brakes, I suggest changing those, because that's the one thing I hated about this car when I first had it. Alright, so it looks like we're just getting like a couple drops, so I think we're pretty much done. So I'm going to put the nut back in and then fill her up with some oil. Alright, so we got the nut back in, so now it's time to switch out the filter. I use Man as my filter for my car. You can get off FCP Euro. You just type in B8.5 S4 or 2014 S4, whatever year your car is, and it'll pull up the oil filter you need, and it has two different kinds. I always get the Man because it's a little bit better quality, and then I also always get liquid moly. That is a must, and I always get the green bottle. That's what's always been in this car, and the car has always been running smooth, and that's the oil I recommend and the filter I recommend. So let's go ahead, change out the gaskets and this old filter, put the new one in. Old gasket. You also want to like put a little bit of oil on the gasket so that slides in.
Hey, yo!
So now I gotta get the gasket out. It's right on the lip here. You gotta get that off. Put the new one in. And put the filter in. There's the old one. All right. We're all good. Oh no. I got a little bit of cleaning up to do. I use my buddy's garage to be able to do this because I live in an apartment, so it means I don't have a garage. All right, where are we at? 6? Yeah, 6. So number 6 on the things I hate about this car is the ride height from stock. Stock ride height is a monster truck. It's like a foot above the tire and it just looks gross. And it was like that with my A6 too. And on 19-inch wheels, I just hated the look of stock ride height with this car. But that's why we got coilovers now and we don't have that issue. But that's probably one of the other things I really hate about this car. All right, number 7 would have to be the TPMS system. It's very touchy. I don't know if you guys watched the video from when I was in Seattle, but I was just driving the car and barely went over a bump, and a minute later the TPMS went off and it said that one of my tires were very low, and checked them all and they were all fine. That's happened to me multiple times and the tire pressure was all the same and it never changed. So the TPMS is kind of finicky with this car, but all in all, it's been fine. I mean, when it has been low, it was right, but sometimes it says it's low when it's really not. The next thing would have to be something that only really happens to people that have snow, and that is the wheels. The stock wheels are terrible. They collect a lot of snow, and like right now, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but we're kind of bouncing around, and that's because the snow packs up inside the wheel and starts bouncing. I don't know if that's true with other wheel styles. I have the peelers, so I mean if you have the rotors or if you have the other styled wheels, there might be a different issue. But personally, with the stock wheels, they collect a lot of snow, which means that they build up and you start to bounce when you go at high speeds. See, like right now, you hear that? That's my jack bouncing around because we have snowpack in our tires. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna have to pull over pretty soon and change that, but yeah. So snowpack definitely be the 8th one. So we're down to our final 2, and I'm gonna tell you these after we get a little drift session. All right, I think we found a decent spot. Trick is we don't want to get stuck. Yeah. Alright, that's as good as it's gonna get. Alright, we're down to 2. It's freezing out here. I believe it's below 10 degrees right now. So, sorry if it's a little windy. Anyways, the second thing would be that this car does not come with adjustable control arms, which means that when you lower the car, you can't adjust the camber, which in my case kind of means you run through tires a little bit more than you normally would if you're on stock ride height. Look at how much snow. Oh my goodness. Anyways, when I was on lowering springs, I rarely ran through tires as fast as I do now on coilovers, but lowering springs don't really drop your car that much. And then finally, for number 10 on the 10 things I hate about this car is, I don't really hate it. It's so hard because I was trying to think of 10 this morning and I was like, I can't think of 2. This car is an amazing car. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing is just a general like thing with either German cars or all-wheel drive cars. So number 10 is the all-wheel drive situation with tires. If you get a tire and a nail goes in the sidewall, it's so cold, and a nail goes in the sidewall, you're gonna have to replace all 4, which kind of sucks. So that's probably my 10th thing, and that's probably the most expensive thing, honestly, if you ever do have that issue. I haven't, if I've ran through all my tires, usually all of them I had to replace anyways, but yeah. So that's the 10 things I hate about this car. I'm gonna do a little spin around, outro, and then I gotta go to work. Anyways guys, like always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell so you know whenever I make a new video. We got a lot more to come. It is freezing right now, so I'll see you next time. Drive safe. Still not fast enough. Started leaking.